Now, understand, I'm not talking about one person. What I just told you applies to 7 people. How they all end up with that. That's part of what you get. I came in this business saying I was going to expose. When I talked about Michael Jackson, when I talked about R. Kelly, they canceled me for these things because why would you talk about another black dude? Race is not where the line is drawn. It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
And now you have to ask yourself, how did 50 come into the possession of Diddy's footage for Diddy's documentary about Diddy?
A lot of insight. And, this documentary is about people being able to tell their truth or tell their version.
For years, Katt Williams was seen as the loud comedian who said too much. People laughed at his claims, wrote them off as exaggeration, and kept scrolling. That changed in January 2024, when Katt sat down with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay. The tone shifted immediately. The jokes stopped. People started paying attention. What made this different wasn't the humor, it was the timing. Many of Katt's statements began lining up with real events happening in real time. He wasn't talking about stand-up or comedy beefs anymore. He was talking about power, deception, and an entertainment industry built on keeping certain truths hidden. He also hinted that when the real story about Diddy came out, it wouldn't just be about one person. Months later, 50 Cent dropped his documentary, Diddy, The Reckoning. The project made waves. It featured clips, timelines, and patterns people had whispered about for years. But viewers noticed something strange. Several big names were missing, left out completely, as if they'd been erased on purpose. That absence brought Katt Williams back into focus. Online discussions pointed out that Katt seemed to predict this. Through past interviews, jokes, and offhand comments, he suggested 50 Cent might have been pressured to remove certain people from the documentary. Not because there wasn't evidence, but because those figures held too much power. One comment Katt made in early 2024 still stands out. He said there were people in the industry who couldn't be touched, not just a few. He specifically said 7. At the time, it sounded vague. But as Diddy's legal problems grew and the documentary released, people went back to Katt's words. They rewatched the interview, they reconsidered what he said, and slowly, a bigger theory started forming.
Def Comedy Jam 25. It's good to see so many funny people together in one room, all wondering the same thing. Is Katt Williams gonna show?
The theory itself was simple. Diddy wasn't working alone. He had protection, layers of it. Some of it came from well-known figures whose status made them too risky to confront. Katt never gave a full list. He didn't clearly name all 7 people. But that didn't stop the internet from trying. Conversations spread fast. Theories piled up. One name that kept appearing was Snoop Dogg.
It's audio from Suge Knight. It's from his podcast with Dave Mase. And he's speaking on, Tupac and Snoop being cool and how, after Tupac got killed, Snoop started hanging out with Diddy. And, he also speaks on how, Snoop, he did the Steve Harvey show with Diddy after Tupac got killed. Check this out.
Okay. It's downloading right now.
Then you look at the scenario how everybody used Pac to make their stuff famous or make their project better. You got people who use their songs with Pac and tell them how much they love Pac, but they do songs with Puffy. You got Steve Harvey over that, this motherfucker telling, well, Pac going to everybody else. He brings Snoop and Puffy on there and say, these the dudes who's running this in the East Coast, West Coast.
What's up, Snoop?
What's up, huh? Hey, whoa. Wait a minute, fellas here. Hold up. I know all about this East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing here, but we in Chicago now. This rivalry stuff, we gotta stop it, man. We stop that, we stop a lot of this violence.
Yo, Steve, check this, man. All that East Coast, West Coast stuff is a bunch of media hype. It's been my dog from day one, you know what I'm saying? It's all good between me and him. That's my peoples.
For real, that's what we came here for. We came in to light it up and ride it up. We make music.
Now, Pac, if you love Pac so much, how you with the mother Like, they got something to do with the first get down that happened to Pac in New York, then the second one.
What you think about Suge comments? And I never asked you this before, but did you have an issue with Snoop hanging out with Diddy after Tupac got killed?
I mean, I always felt that was wrong. I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm talking about from that, like now, okay, you know what I mean? I'm 46, Snoop probably early 50s. If he figured out now, he might go by the opinion like, okay, Puffy had nothing to do with Pac. You know, we grown now. If he want to be his friend, no problem. But back then, that was just awkward. You know what I mean? And the reason why it was awkward to me that I never even like it because you knew how Pac felt about this individual.
People were quick to point out that Snoop had openly talked for years about going to Diddy's parties, not once or twice, consistently, over a long stretch of time. Old interviews, jokes, and footage showed just how connected their circles were. As more discussions popped up online, other rumors followed. Some involved Suge Knight. Others brought up old stories that resurfaced. Nothing was confirmed, but the sheer volume of talk made people wonder why Snoop wasn't mentioned in the documentary at all. Some speculated that bringing up his name would have caused major backlash, not just from fans, but from powerful industry allies. Snoop isn't just an artist, he's a brand, a business, a cultural icon, backed at every level. To some, that made him untouchable.
He's lying! He's lying! He didn't even buy it yet! He's lying!
At the same time, Kevin Hart's name caught people off guard. Online theories pointed to his early career and the people he was around back then. Specifically, events tied to something called Flavor Camp. These gatherings were linked to Diddy and described as stepping stones for young talent trying to break in. Fans started rewatching Kevin Hart's early comedy sets. Some jokes hit differently now. Not as proof, but as moments that raised new questions about what he might have seen or been part of. Discussions online suggested that including Kevin in the documentary could have created serious legal issues. Too many productions, contracts, and studios were tied to his name. Again, nothing was proven, but the lack of answers left room for speculation to fill the gaps.
ET Awards went off without a hitch last night. A sense of that there. No, inside everything was fine. Outside everything was fine. And Kevin Hart decided that he was going to make jokes about, well, I mean, he's the host, right? So you have to sort of roast a little bit about someone who's in the audience because, well, this person is in a prison, actually right now sitting in a courtroom, and that's Diddy. Yes, he didn't say his name, but it was very clear to everyone who he was talking about here. Watch the reactions in the
Diddy was a big part of this culture. You know, right. His after parties, you know, were a part of the BET experience. So, you know, life comes at you fast, but, you know, Kevin had to address the elephant in the room.
By the way, we should say the Diddy after parties that happen after award shows, that's not what the trial is about. Those weren't freak-offs. The trial is something separate, but still nobody wanted to be seen as laughing at him.
Mase might be the quietest name connected to all this, but to many, his involvement feels especially important. His history with Bad Boy Records is well known. Contract battles, public frustration, then a quiet exit. When the accusations about Diddy started coming out, a lot of people expected Mase to say something. He didn't. That silence became its own story. Some fans think Mase knows more than he's ever said publicly. Others believe he just chose peace and distance over reopening old wounds. According to speculation, his connection was too deep, too close to the center. Bringing him into the story would have meant revisiting chapters that couldn't easily be closed again.
What's going on with Kevin Hart?
I don't know, man.
Oh, okay.
You know, the internet is going wild on him, saying that he was a curator and a narrator of one of the Diddy parties and got caught on tape. You hear that?
Wow. I didn't hear that one.
That must be one of your favorite. That must be one of your favorite comedians, then. Cause you didn't hear that.
That was cool.
Huh?
I didn't hear it.
Get out of here.
It was cool, but I didn't hear that one. Must have missed it, man. I think I caught most of them.
I think he almost fell in the tub with one of the girls. Diddy had some girls in the tub, a tub of baby oil or something like that, and he almost fell in the tub. It was crazy.
You know, he would be one of the celebrities that I definitely wouldn't think would be involved in anything illegal, for sure.
But you got to realize this, man. people who get caught up in certain those things like that, those parties and things like that, is that they don't go there looking for that stuff. You got to understand, they get caught up in the moment with the alcohol, the drugs, and then certain bottles that are laced with certain things that take you away from your normal self. And you end up probably doing something that you probably never do again in your life. You never get caught up in those things ever before. There are a lot of celebrities that go to these parties like this. And they not only Diddy parties. I went to a party before and You Can't Handle the Truth and King Kong Ain't Got Nothing on Me was at one of those parties. I was bodyguarding one of the girls. So what I'm saying is that it's rampant, and this was years ago. This was over 20 years ago. It's rampant in the music industry. It's rampant in Hollywood, film, pictures, and anything.
Can I tell you a story, Killer? I don't think I ever told you this story. This is what Puff taught me. One time I walked in when I was fresh off the streets. I got signed to Bad Boy. I had these fresh Air Nikes on, and then I had on Air Nikes too, brand new. I made a mistake and stepped on his sneaker, and the dirt was on his laces, on his white Airs. I said, man, my bad, because I had stepped in some dirt. You know, the nigga came back, put his feet in the dirt, and stepped all over my sneakers. I said, yo, what are you doing? He said, my bad. I said, yo. The moral of the story is, nobody just want to hear you say you're bad.
Meek Mill's name came up after an audio clip surfaced online. It spread fast and sparked heated debate. Some dismissed it immediately. Others took it seriously. Meek denied everything. But by then, the conversation had already spiraled. Online theories suggested that putting Meek in the documentary directly could have threatened the entire project. The risks range from lawsuits to defamation claims to intense media backlash that a platform like Netflix likely wanted to avoid. In rumor circles, this was seen as one of the clearest cases of content being cut, not because it wasn't relevant, but because it was too risky to release.
I was told the day before the incident at the celebrity basketball game that someone was coming for Puffy and Biggie. And another line that Mase said that caught my attention, man, was him saying that never found the killer. Why is there? How do you feel about him saying that? Because it sounds like he's referring to Biggie getting killed in LA, and Puffy, he's currently living in LA right now. And why does he feel so comfortable living somewhere that Biggie got killed at, knowing that they never found the killer and the murder is still unsolved?
Well, on all honestly, brother, you would have to ask him that. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm looking at it like that, then I know, you know, those mansions are heavily guarded, one. Two, he wasn't getting the love that he would get. I don't think he's getting love in LA. I don't know. He said he owns LA, he runs LA, he runs Miami, and he runs New York. So by him running LA, as he say he does, I would feel comfortable too. You know what I'm saying? If I knew for a fact that the person they got, and that was enough to call back all of everything, I would feel that comfortable too. But I wouldn't live there. I wouldn't go there. I'd do business and get on out of there. If I was still afraid, I don't think he may have not ever been afraid. You understand? Because he never acted like he was afraid for whatever reason it was. I can't.
The most sensitive names raised were Justin Bieber and Usher. Both had professional ties to Diddy early on. Over time, old footage resurfaced that people now view differently, interviews that seemed uncomfortable in hindsight. Years later, Justin Bieber's emotional reaction to paparazzi questions only fueled more speculation. This led many to ask whether certain young stars were protected by the industry at all costs. According to widespread belief, this is where the documentary drew a hard line, not because the topic wasn't important, but because it involved people who may have been vulnerable, and bringing those details into the light risked doing more harm than good, so those names stayed out.
In the day that Meek Mills and Puff was a little too friendly. Anytime two rappers or two people in the industry come dressed up alike on more than one occasion, my man, listen here, man. My dudes in Philly, I got some real strong dudes in Philly. They don't play that. And they probably embarrassed for the fact to see that Meek Mills, one of the street guys that came out of there, got caught up in this Hollywood, whereas that he's dressing like Diddy, hugged up with Diddy. I think that Lil Rod know a lot of, but I know this. Two men dress alike, it's just like two men laying down. When they both get up, they both homos. And that's real talk, bruh. My man, you go to a party, dog, and the nigga got the same shirt you got on, I'm taking my shirt off. I'm walking around in a t-shirt. And then, not to blow Meek Mills up out the water or anything like that, it was said that they checked his Google search and all that, and he was searching for some online gay porn and all of that.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, bro. But listen, those are what, you know, it's crazy that money, that lifestyle, and you trying to fit into something get you. These guys never set out to do all this. Meek Mills, when he got into the game, he didn't set out to be questioning about his manhood with Diddy. But he put himself in that position.
Like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So
Then there's Clive Davis. If Diddy was seen as a key player, Clive was often viewed as the architect, the gatekeeper at an even higher level. Many fans believe his absence from the documentary says everything. Not because he needed protection, but because he represents the system itself. Including Clive wouldn't have just exposed one person. It would have pulled back the curtain on how the entire industry operates, and that level of exposure rarely makes it through.
Bootleg, yo, they don't even bootleg no more, man. So it's going to be hard to figure it out if it does exist.
Do you believe the guy in the tape is white?
If he's bigger than Diddy, and he's not none of the names that I said, probably so. But then they say he was young too.
Yeah, they say he was young.
Let me get his name right. I hope it ain't the Bieber. I hope it's not the Bieber.
That's a good one. It might be him. But if they saying that the guy is young and he's an A-lister, I can't think of that many black people, man.
Right. Not at all. And somebody that's more powerful, more of a celebrity than Diddy. You understand what I'm saying? If they were saying somebody that was more celebrity than Diddy, he was an A-lister, he was younger, you know what I'm saying? And if he's not black, it would have to be the Bieber. That's his name, Bieber? They said I got that wrong too. Justin Bieber, allegedly. I don't know, bro.
Right. But when you heard the news that Diddy, he had to take with another man, did that catch you by surprise or no?
Well, all this shit is by surprise to me. A lot of this shit is by surprise to me, to be totally honest, man. Because I knew Puff, I knew Puff Daddy, I knew Diddy before he was Love and Brother Love and back to Diddy. So, no, but the diddler, he's the diddler now. A lot of it's surprising, but it's not unheard of. Because you hear of all kinds of shit, and whether it registered with you or you internalize it or something like that, that's a whole nother story. But a lot of this stuff is crazy. But this is the world that we live in now, man.
50 Cent addressed the rumors in his own way. He mentioned that documentaries have limits, episode limits, legal limits. But Katt Williams, through humor and subtle hints, seemed to suggest something else. According to him, the omissions weren't just creative choices. They were shaped by strategic pressure, legal threats, distribution concerns, protecting powerful people, or shielding those affected by the events. Nothing was confirmed. Everything was debated, but the missing names stayed missing.
Stacey Dash, Ray J, Clive Davis, how are they all connected?
I want to say Diddy, but I don't.
We're going to be going through all of those possibilities.
Oh, okay. I wasn't supposed to answer. Okay.
And when we started LA as a graveyard, then, it was like, okay, we can't just say that anymore, especially after I took them up to 35 for us to film about what happened in Mo there. It's hip hop.
Yeah.
And that's going to be moving on to Tombstone.
Okay.
And we'll be going through the unexpected, unusual deaths, unsolved murders, mysteries, things of that nature, things that I know, things that I'm directly connected to. We want to create this aspect because we want to start teasing people's minds into wanting to get these crimes solved, because the truth is, it seems like the hardest murder to solve in America is a rap murder. They just don't seem to get solved.
Without question.
That's a problem.
Without question.
Because we got over 35, 40 years of hip-hop homicides.
Yes.
How many of them get solved?
They created a whole show. Yeah.
Unsolved hip-hop mystery? Are you kidding me?
Hey. I have to ask you, you mentioned Clive Davis. They just showed him recently walking into somewhere, and they asked him about Diddy, and he said, who? Is that old age, or does he not, they're not in the same world? Or they're in the same world, but they're not cohorts.
He's definitely been his
What convinced many viewers that certain names were deliberately left out wasn't just who was absent. It was how familiar the pattern felt. People who've watched the entertainment industry for years have seen this before. A scandal breaks, one person takes the fall, and the rest of the system quietly fades back into the background.
People have been talking about for some time now. Alex, let me begin with you. The docuseries is entitled Sean Combs, The Reckoning. How is this one different from the others that have been out there?
Well, I think that the biggest marker of what makes this film or this series different is how much time we took into putting into the making of the film, doing our due diligence to get the right voices, to the table, this is a series that spans over 30 years. So just by covering that much time, it took a lot of time for us to dig in and to kind of make sense of this story and to put this timeline together.
Yeah, and there's like some never before seen footage that I'm going to talk to you about in just a moment. But Curtis, people know about this very public, long-standing feud that you've had with Sean Combs. So what brought you to this project?
Well, I just want to make really hit television. I like the idea of it being exciting, and I picked this project and started working on it about 5 months before I found Alex. And I know that she has the artistic integrity that it would take to make it a great project, and there's the Quincy Jones era of production is find me that bass player because he's the baddest man out there in Chicago, and find me that keyboardist and fly them in from Miami, and we put them in and had the greatest jam session they ever heard, and it just always resulted in great hit music. And I take that concept into television production.
You take that into everything you do, sir.
That's right.
You really do. And it really comes through, and appreciate that about you. As I said, never before seen footage of the days leading up to his arrest. Can you just talk a little bit about, was there anything that surprised you from that footage?
The footage, well, I mean, I think it's rare to find someone who's being, talked about all over the country. All eyes were on him, so to speak. And it was really interesting to see his last days of freedom, and what was sort of important to him. Obviously, there's phone calls with his attorneys, with his team. It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. He has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account and how he was coming off to the public, in the days leading up to his arrest and indictment. So that was interesting. It was also just interesting to see how laid back he was at times. But, the footage also, in the footage, we also see how he's getting incoming, lawsuits are dropping, and to get his real-time perspective on that was sort of jaw-dropping when we first got our eyes on the footage.
Was there anything that surprised you when you were watching the footage?
No, that didn't surprise me at all.
Because you've known him?
Those behaviors, and I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it.
Yeah, and I want to ask about that, because how did you go about getting the footage? And do you know the intent of the videographer, why he or this person took the...
After Diddy, the reckoning dropped, fans noticed how narrow the conversation became. The focus stayed on Diddy. Deeper questions went unasked. Who funded the events? Who booked the venues? Who showed up year after year? Who approved it all? Online researchers started comparing this to past industry scandals and found a pattern. One person becomes the face of the controversy. A few shocking details come out, but anything that involves multiple powerful figures at once gets dismissed as unverified, too risky, or too sensitive to discuss. And Katt Williams' words started feeling less like comedy and more like a warning. He never said the truth would be denied, just that it would be controlled. Certain stories carefully edited to protect the bigger picture. Viewers noticed how other celebrities went quiet. Interviews got canceled. Social media posts disappeared. Old photos vanished. It wasn't panic. It was strategy, the kind that comes from knowing the unspoken rules of survival in the industry. Whether or not 7 names were actually removed, the reaction told its own story. People weren't defending Diddy. They were defending distance. And that might be the most revealing part of all. When silence spreads faster than facts, it usually means the truth hit closer than anyone wants to admit. Katt Williams never called himself a hero. He called himself a truth teller. And truth tellers often speak in riddles when reality is dangerous. Whether the list was real or imagined, one thing is clear. Diddy's downfall didn't happen in isolation. It opened a door. Behind that door is an industry that still refuses to fully confront itself. The question isn't who was removed anymore. It's who might never be named.
So she's not going to reveal her sources, so you don't have to reveal that.
Not going to reveal my sources.
He's telling me on his way here, I didn't see this, but apparently there's another 100 hours of Diddy footage on the cutting room floor.
So Diddy is still doing press. I mean, Diddy. 50.
Diddy is not doing press.
No, he's doing
press on the yard.
He's doing press, like he's doing push-ups. No, 50 is still doing press, and obviously with the success of the Reckoning documentary, he's talking about there's more footage. There's 140 hours that he has. And each episode was only maybe an hour, I think. There was 4 episodes. So there's at least 130 something more hours that he hasn't edited or, produced. And he's saying that he may put it out on YouTube just to put it out there.
Like on his 50 Cent Devo page?
I don't know if it'll be on his page, but he just said, he doesn't know if he's going to release it with Netflix or through Netflix. He might just, put it out on YouTube or wherever, some other platform. But the one thing that he said that was interesting is, he said, because you see people out here trying to, say, oh, the documentary can paint a narrative, this and the third. And his words were, if you see the rest of this footage, there will be no more, kind of like, oh, you can paint this narrative. It's pretty clear cut. The things that are being said in the documentary, the things that he still can't believe Puff, because he says that a lot. Like he can't believe Puff actually recorded all of this.
Yeah. But I mean, so why does 50 not put that? If it's that damning and that crazy, why not put it in the doc?
I don't know why. I don't know why he didn't put it in the doc. Maybe, the stories, maybe he had more people that he would need to interview and have sit down for the documentary to kind of go through those stories that are in there. It could be a number of reasons, but the fact that he has over 100 hours of footage of, personal footage and things like that leading up to the case, because the story is Puff felt like he was going to win the case.
Yeah.
And that this was going to be footage for his documentary that he would have released.
The redemption.
After the trial was done and things like that. So, the amount of things that he probably was recording, just going off of the fact that he felt like they were going to win the case.
Yeah. And this is my footage and these guys aren't going to put it out.
Yeah.
Like all the crazy we're going to take out.
Right.
But I mean, even I did see who I think was the director of what Diddy was trying to do had mentioned that he was on vacation or was out of town and had someone fill in for him. And that's the only footage that made it to the doc because that guy sold it. So maybe that director didn't pay the person to fill in, so he owned the footage and was able to give it away. But maybe all this other footage 50 doesn't have permission to put out. Like,
okay,
he could have it, but the director's like, no, this is my footage. Like, you got the other because I had my man's fill in for me for 3 days and he has that footage now.
Right.
So maybe that could be it. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like 50 is so petty that if it was that crazy, he would have just put in the doc, but who knows? I don't even want to speculate what is on the 100 hours.
Yeah.
After Lil Rod telling me what was going on, I don't know if I want to see it visually.
I mean, and for 50 to say the footage that's on there is, it leaves no more room for, people to kind of say, oh, the narratives are being created, it's false. For 50 to say that, I mean, we can only imagine